Here it is. A video that is destined to make some people hate it. Now, I want to point out something. I want to be the first to point out the fact that part of my inspiration to get this hairstyle was to keep my bangs from falling on my forehead, therefore causing acne. I want to just draw attention to that so we can talk about it and get that over with. You're going to be seeing that the next couple of weeks. It's going to take a couple of weeks for it to fully go away. And again, it's 100% because of my bangs were falling. And even there, you can kind of see where that one's clearing up. That was the bad one before. It's happening because of my bangs, which again, inspired me to do this hairstyle. But that's not the focus of this video now that I've talked about it. Instead, the focus is what Muhammad Ali had to say. Of course, I already like this because your name's Muhammad, and Muhammad is one of my good friends. I'll be hanging out with him this weekend actually, but different last name. So the comment was made on a video I made literally just a few hours ago, the same video where I talked about how I ran 3 miles and the Murray's pomade held up. It was that video, and I've just changed my clothes since then. It was Murray's pomade on receding hairline, running 3 miles in the rain. That was the name of the video. Okay, here's what Muhammad had to say. Quote, "Hey Nick, do a video on your thoughts on hair transplants. Are they worth it? Or are they a scam? Or should balding men just accept it and shave their head, saving themselves money and the time waiting for the transplanted hair to grow in?" End quote. So, very good questions here. I like the way it was phrased. And it's interesting because I have done many videos on hair transplants and my thoughts and views on them, but I haven't done one in a while. As we all know, I've had a character arc since the time I've started doing these videos. Whereas before, the whole theme was really about, the way to embrace your hair loss is to shave your head if you've lost too much hair. That was pretty much what I said in most of my videos. That was the theme. And then we saw that I realized that that's not the only way to embrace hair loss. You can embrace hair loss by finding a hairstyle that, even if it exposes your actual Norwood 3 status or whatever it is, as long as you feel secure and happy in it, then that's too can be embracing it. What I feel, and here's where some people will hate me after I say this, I think definitely for some people, the way for them to embrace their hair loss is to get a hair transplant. That's not me. I'm not saying that about what I feel personally for myself, but I'm saying for some people, they're not going to be able to embrace their hair loss until they get a hair transplant, which I don't think in itself is hypocritical or a paradox. I think for me it's this simple, and I did a video last week talking about what's proof that you're not embracing hair loss. The proof of that is that you worry about it all the time. I don't worry about it. I make videos about it all the time, but I'm not actually worrying about it. If I'm going to worry, I'm going to worry about other things, not hair loss. So if worrying is a sign that you haven't embraced hair loss, to me, what I would say that the easiest way to know that you've embraced hair loss, the positive way, is to know that that you're happy with your condition, even though it's not a perfect situation. Even though, sure, wouldn't we all love to have Norwood 1 our whole life? But we realize that's not if you're watching this video, chances are you're already past Norwood 1. So finding happiness despite not being born with the genes that enable you to have Tony Danza kind of hairline, right? So I think with all that being said, if you being content and happy and feeling good about yourself, about your hair, if that is the way that you embrace your hair loss, if that's the definition, which I think it is, then there are people that need to get there aren't people that need to get a hair transplant. I'm not one of them, but they exist, and I'm not here to put down receding hair. I keep saying the same thing over. I'm not here to put down hair transplants. Specifically, Mohammed, your questions, are they worth it? You know, it's going to be a bit of money. But if it's the only way to get that happiness is to buy that happiness and contentment, then I suppose it is. If you're not going to be able to move past that, and that's what you've got to do, then I guess it would be worth it to you. It definitely wouldn't be. I wouldn't take one for free, because it fundamentally is opposed to. I think I can overcome my hair loss and still be happy, and I think I already have. But some people can't, and I accept that, and that's what they need to do. Is it a scam? Not that I'm aware of, not if you get a good one. I mean, so many actors we see on TV have had them. Joel McHale always comes to my mind. He had what? He was in Norwood 4. He had I think he had the island and everything, and now he's got a better hairline than I've got right here. It's nice and thick, looks great. You know, a lot of actors on TV have had some kind of hair transplant or work. It's quite common, and especially for them in their careers, it was worth it. But of course, we're not Hollywood actors, are we? So, is it a scam? Not if you go to a good one, right? Or should balding men just accept it and shave their head, saving themselves money and the time for the transplanted hair to grow in? If you ask me, that's what the answer is for me. Again, do whatever you think is right for you, whatever brings you happiness. I can't control your happiness, but I think you can, whatever your condition is. So, does that make sense? Because I want this to make sense. I want it to be known that I'm not a hypocrite, and that I can tell some people, hey, you know what, for you, a hair transplant is probably the best way to go. You're going to be beating yourself up over your hair loss until you finally can have that hair to hair that you need. That ultimately you need to buy that happiness. That's what you need to do. And for you, it'll be worth the money if you go to the right place. That's what you need. Again, I'm not one of those people, but I'm not here to tell you that you are or you're not. If that's the only way you can find happiness going through your hair loss, then that's what you probably should do. But again, there's a lot of people like me who, when they reach Norwood 4, because to me that's the defining line. When you reach Norwood 4 and you've got the island and you've got thinning, to me I'm just, okay, I'm done, I'm ready to shave it off. But that's not the case for everybody, and a lot of people have already got like they lost too much hair to really save it at that point, and so they kind of have to. So I hope this answers your question directly, because I don't want to seem like I'm, you know, generically saying whatever makes you happy, but I kind of am, because that's the only way some people can embrace their hair loss. The way to embrace hair loss is not simply just to, you know, that you have to shave it off, or that you have to do one. You don't have to do anything except for the thing that gives you peace. Without that peace and happiness about it, without that ability to move forward, you're not going to be happy. And some people just can't move forward in their lives until they get the hair transplant. Again, I'm not one of them. Some of you are, and that's okay. There's not shame in that. There's really not. And this discussion has come up before. I'm obsessed with teeth. I don't want to lose my teeth. It's just one of my things. So, you know, if I lost a tooth, I would freak out about it. And the first thing I want to do is to get it fixed. I mean, it's not necessarily a perfect comparison, but I can try to empathize with people, empathize, right? With people, you know, going through that. So at the same time, I think that's how we have to look at each other too. We can't judge each other in that some people can just embrace it with shaving it, and some people have to resort to paying money and get a hair transplant. You know, there's no shame in that for them. What do we care what other people do, right? That's the whole concept. We don't judge each other on our decisions to do this. And as your host, some can call me a sellout, some can say that I'm hypocritical, but remember, I'm catering to a kaleidoscope, a gradient of people dealing with hair loss in their own ways. So Mohammed, I thank you for your question. I think this is going to be a very helpful video, and I've enjoyed discussing it because it's important for us to kind of take a look back in how I've evolved as a host on my views on this. I used to be really judgmental and really against hair transplants, but then when I realized I don't care what other people do as long as they're happy. Again, it goes back to whatever's going to make that person happy. Hope that helps, and I hope that clears up soon.